Thanks, John. My name is Dan Laird. I'm with Campus Technology Services. Thanks for joining us today. And Kathy and I will be going over Google Sites. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So first off, how to get to Google Sites. So if you're in Gmail or any other Google app, up there in the corner, there's this Google app icon that kind of is the menu for all the different apps that we have available through our campus agreement. So in here, there is a Sites icon that will bring you to Google Sites. So if you click on that, now be warned, I am logged in a personal Google account and my work Google account. It defaults to my personal account. So if you are in the same boat as me, you'll have to go in here and click on your work account. So this is what it will look like. You probably don't have as many sites as me. I've done some help with other people's sites, and I've created a couple test ones of my own. When you're in here and you'd like to create a new one, there's this icon down in the lower right-hand corner that says, that's a plus. You hover over it and it says create Google site, create new site. So that's where you would go if you wanted to create a new Google site, and you'll get this blank template. So I am going to show you one that I've already worked on, and I'll kind of go.
Can I interrupt you? Can you show me how? I didn't see that link to, I don't know what you just did to get to this.
You go to your email.
Pardon?
You go to your email, Gmail.
No, I know how to get to Google Sites. I know that little icon, but there was something down at the bottom that you clicked on once you got into Google Sites.
This plus button?
Yeah, what is that? Oh, create new site. Okay, so you have to do that if you're to start with, because I would have been stuck here and not knowing that. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. So this is kind of, I put a few things in here to explain how things work. Right now, I've got a few items from the template in here, and you can go through. These are some of the things that you could input into your site. It's really, everything's well labeled. So you can change the layouts. You can have different forms of text. And then this is your main page. You can also create, multiple pages off your home page, and they'll appear in here. So this is your home page. You can have different layouts. I've got this one right here that's kind of got the three icons with text under them. And then there's other components that you can add. There's collapsible text, table of contents. You can have an image carousel. You can create buttons, dividers, placeholders. And then it also has the ability to input different items from Google Apps. So you can have calendar, map, docs, slides, sheets, forms, and charts. So if you use any of these, you can embed them into your site. And I'll go over that. Does anybody have any questions with the main page? Okay.
Quick question. I see you opened up a site that already has information in it, but if I go to create a page, should I assume that it will be blank?
It'll look like this.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then I'm sorry, we just use the right side of the screen and just populate what we need for each page.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
So you can,
thank you.
no problem. You can click on the text to change, you know, this is your page name. I haven't named the site, so I'm just gonna say site. So once you name your page, that will show up here in the corner of each page that you create. So that's your site name. Your page name is in here. The site name, which is all of your pages, are on your site. So you can add a logo to it if you want to be fancy, but that is where you start. If you wanted to change the theme, there's a couple different ones that are in here. You can change the color schemes as well. So you click on them, it'll give you a preview of what that looks like. So I'm just clicking on each one of these to see what the new ones look like. So you can change the colors. You can change what font it has. Besides this, what the template has by default, you can also change the image in the background. So if you had one that you wanted in here besides whatever came with the template, you can change that.
So can I ask that if you if you create a web page and you want people to find it and they go by your name, would that be the site you would have? Is the site what would be in your address for that web page? Or because page name just sounds like it could be anything. It could say publications or something. It would just be for that page. But what's the name of your website? Is it just that CTS site is what would be the name of your website?
Let's see here.
So people can't find it. It's only if you invite people to go there, just like with any Google Doc, people can't find. It's not like a web page then, really.
You can, by default, these pages are only available to people that are logged in with their Gmail account at SUNY Oswego.
Okay. Okay. So that, yeah. All right.
If that's something you would like to change, which most people would like their sites to be public, because most websites are public. Plus, messing with having to make sure people are logged in, because you'll send someone the link and they'll be like, I can't get into it. It says I don't have permission. It's easier if you make it public. That's up to you. I'm just telling you.
Okay. How do you make it public though?
You go into, hang on. So if you want, when you're done with your site and you want to publish it,
Right.
this is the name of my site. This is the URL that you would share with other people.
Okay.
If you wanted to put the link in Blackboard or send it in an email or however else you share your links. As I said, by default, it's anyone at SUNY Oswego. If I want to change that, I click on manage, and this will bring me, this is the same as that share button, the little icon with the person and the plus. So it says publish site is only for SUNY Oswego. I'm going to make it public.
Right. Right.
So now anybody that you share that link with can now open your site and look at it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, not that I necessarily do want to broadcast to the world, but it seems that would be an important feature of a website.
It's really up to you and what content you're putting on your page. So
yeah. Thanks.
No problem. So besides worrying about who can see your page, you can also have multiple editors of your page. So if you have people that you would like to help you with your site, you can, you can have anybody as SUNY Oswego, but that I would not recommend that. So you had someone in mind, like, hey, I want Kathy to be able to help me. Then this allows her to be an editor. And I'll send her an email saying you now have the ability to edit this site. So once you get done with changing your settings, if you wanted this to be public, it also comes up with this this button, which allows it to be publicly searchable in search engines. So if this is a page that you want the world to see, this would probably be something that you would want. So I'm checking it and I'm hitting publish. So this is making it live. So just to go over that again, because that's kind of a sticking point for a lot of people. This is the share button up here. This little icon with the profile and the plus button. So that's where you go to have your editors and change the availability of the site. So, okay. So say you have content that you'd like to put in here. If you just wanted to put text in, you have a text box and you could put in the content that you would like to see here. If you had, I'm going to go over to the site that I already created because I'm going to show you some of the things that you can do. I chose this 3-panel one. So if I click on one of these layouts, it will put a blank one on the page. And it allows me to add content. I can add videos or images. So you click on this little plus button and it'll have upload. Or if you have images in your Google account that you want to use, you can do that. Or from your drive. You can also add YouTube videos,
So
calendar.
can I just ask, so the upload would be like, I've got all the stuff that was taken off my earlier website. I can upload those files.
Depends on what type of files they are.
Oh,
Kathy, do you know if you can upload PDFs to these? I'm pretty sure you can.
maybe she gone?
You're on mute, Kathy.
You can.
Sorry. So if you upload a PDF you're going to have to link to it, right? Because you can't put it right on the website, but you could open up the PDF and copy and paste the text into the text editor box. So there would be a couple ways to do it. And I don't know what your PDF was. Was it something that you wanted students to be able to read?
I don't know if it was a PDF. I wasn't talking specifically about PDFs. I was sent, they took down my old site and I had a zip file of it and I just saved it onto a thumb drive, and there's all kinds of things in there. I don't know what form, I don't know what form they're saved in, but there would be material, information. Some of it would be Word files initially, I guess, and some of it would be pictures and some, I don't know what. I just wondered if I can put that stuff back on.
Depends on what it is.
Yeah, I would say just meet with one of Dan or myself and we can look at the file and help you.
So when the time comes, if I ever can do this, once summer's teaching all the time, so there's not much time now, but yeah, if I want to, that would be helpful. Thank you to have someone help me how I can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
PDF files can be embedded in Google Sites as long as it's the new Google Sites.
Okay. I know that you can put them in Drive and the Drive links can be put in there, but I didn't know if you could directly take a PDF and stick it into the link into your.
You just use the insert panel to add the file.
Okay. Because there is a Drive button that will show you files that you have uploaded to your Drive. So you can share files this way. Okay, so as far as the layouts are concerned, I put in this blank one and I can add images, and then under it, I can change the text. This is a completed one. You can add images. This is a YouTube video, and then you can add, like the caption of what the title of what this item is, and then text under it. So there's a couple different ways that you can change the layouts of your site. And when you do insert something like this, you have a couple different, you can crop it. You can make it clickable. Like if you want this to go to suny.edu, I can do this, add the link. You can also,
Dan, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
No, I have a question. It's not exactly related to this, but kind of maybe a broader question. And I'm sorry if it's a dumb question. What is the relationship between a Google site, which you are showing us how to create, and a web page? Are they basically one and the same once they get published? In other words, if I create a Google website, if I create a Google site, and then I publish it and I make it public, will that then be the same thing as a web page?
Yes,
Thank you.
no problem. Google Sites is pretty much just an editor to create your own webpage. So,
Dan,
yes.
I have a quick question. Now, I'm sorry, I had to take a quick phone call from my daughter. Did you, and I tried following, did you mention anything about accessibility? Is this like, I know we can do accessibility checks with Blackboard and everything. Does this give us the advantage of having help for correcting written items for accessibility, have an accessibility check on it?
There are website accessibility checkers. There's like plugins that you can use in your browser, but there's no checker built into Google Sites, if that's what you're asking. Like if you publish this site, there are other plugins that you can check the accessibility of your page, but there's not a button within Google Sites that says check the accessibility of my content, if that's what you're asking.
Oh, okay. No, that's what I want, because I'm always comparing of what is more user-friendly for me to deal with,
Right.
is Blackboard or anything else.
I
Sorry.
understand. That's fine. That's a good question. And it's very timely because I am going to talk about the accessibility of these items. You can add alt text. So if you click on this menu on the side, it says more editing options. You can either replace the image, like if you wanted to use something else, or you can add alt text. So if this is something that is decorative, you can click this and it will be marked as such in the code, or you can add alt text. So I've done that with this one and this one. So there are some accessibility features within this. I don't know if this is the most accessible way to create a web page. I haven't checked it after creating this site, so that is a good question. there might be some of these options that are more accessible than others. When you're just doing images and text boxes, it's not overly complicating the website, so that if you wanted to keep it simple, then maybe just do that. You won't have to worry about people getting stuck as they maneuver through your page. So besides the templates, we've gone through the themes. You can change the themes. There's layouts. So if you wanted to have multiple columns, you can do that. So there's different ways of setting that up. If, say, I want to change the layout of this, like I want this one in the middle, it's a fairly easy drag and drop sort of interface. So you can accidentally say, oh, I want to switch this, and you go like this. I did screw it up earlier, and I'm trying to screw up now to show you, illustrate a point. There. Like, oops, I grabbed my text instead of the whole thing. I didn't mean to do that. Your friend, the undo button is up here. So just click undo if you try to drag something somewhere and it does not give you the desired results. So just keep that in mind. Here's a collapsible text. I'm just going to go through what some of these do. This collapsible text has the ability to, if you have a longer section, you can make it shorter. This was actually, I added this. You can see this layout option. I clicked on this and it gave me the ability to add a map. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I click on this and say, I would like to enter SUNY Oswego. I don't know if any of you have a use for this, but hey, look at it. Kind of neat. So you can do things like that. There's dividers and placeholders if you wanted to change the layout. I added some buttons. So these go to websites. So this button that says SUNY Oswego CTS webpage has the link to that page. So
How do you make the button? Where's the thing for making a button?
over here on the side,
Okay,
in this insert menu, there's a button option.
okay.
So I'm just going to say SUNY Oswego homepage, and then just do that. Oswego.edu.
Okay,
So that puts the button in here. Sometimes the formatting isn't great. So as you can see here, the text is cut off. So I'm going to grab it and resize it so that everything's viewable. And maybe keep all my buttons together. So I click on this and I put it here. So you can, it's very easy once you create things to kind of grab them and move them around and, you know, just get it to look the way that you'd like it to look. And say there's a Google Doc you'd like to put in.
so far you're doing it all on one page. You're not going to put different information on different pages?
Yeah, I haven't, I'll get there in a second.
All right.
Okay, so say I want to share this article in the page that I wrote. This is just a blog article that we wrote. And for some reason, I want to put it in here so that you can enter text from docs, you can enter slideshows. So lots of things that you can input very easily from this menu. So to get to your question, say I don't want to have one page with a ton of stuff on it. I'd like to have multiple pages. So click on pages, and then here you can create any number of pages you want to have under your website. So if I want to create a new one, I go down to this plus button and I create new page. And I'm just going to name this one Google Docs, because that's where I'm going to put all my Google Docs.
Now, just a quick question, while you're doing that, so the thing that you create then will be a new page within that existing site?
Correct.
Thank you.
No problem. So by default, when you create a page in here, it will put it up in this top navigation menu. So you see, I've already done this to kind of illustrate the point. I created 3 top pages already just to show the structure of a website. These were something I created. It wasn't something here by default. I did this ahead of time. So say I wanted to have a Google Docs page, and then I wanted to have subcategories like blog articles. So say I wanted that to be a subpage under Google Docs. I can grab that, drag it down to Google Docs, and it becomes a subpage of it. So in here, if I hover over the Google Docs link in the menu, in the navigation menu, that blog articles page will be visible underneath it as a child page. So you can kind of create a hierarchy of what you want your site to look like. You can, organize it in that sort of fashion. So say I wanted to put blog articles in here, then you can just come back in, click on your docs. Then you can insert your content. So this insert menu shows you all the things that you can put in your pages. The page section gives you the hierarchy and layout of what your site looks like. So you got your home page, then all the ones that you've created. And I've got subpages for each of these. I just did that so when you hover over this, you can see that each top page has its own subpage. So does anybody have any questions about how the layout works for the pages? Okay, so say you go ahead and you know what you want your site to look like and what pages you'd like to see under it, and you create those, and you put some content in them. I'm just going to go back to the home page. So say you put your content in, and you're like, I just want to preview this because this has all the markup and everything, and you're like, I want to see what this page looks like. There's this preview button up here that's next to the undo and redo. So this gives you, takes out the editor and allows you to see what your page would look like after you made your changes. So here, I can click on this to go to the link, or I can click on this to play the video.
To make things on your screen easy.
I can click on this to see what the collapsible text does. Here's the map. Here's my links. So you get a view of what it would look like. Here's that. I didn't put anything into this template yet. I was just showing you how that worked. Here's my Google Doc. So, okay, this is what it looks like in a browser. You also have the ability, if you go down here to the lower right portion of the screen, there are other icons. There's one for a tablet, so you can preview what your site would look like on a tablet. So it kind of shrinks the screen to what the resolution of a tablet would be. So you can kind of get a preview of, oh, okay, this is what it would look like on a smaller screen. Okay. And this is how the menu would look like. This is how they would navigate. So how you can also see how your site would look like on a phone. That's this little phone icon here. So that really shortens it up. And if you've ever done anything with like responsive design, you'll see like sometimes my navigation menu is gone. Like those links are no longer there, but it's been put into this 3-bar menu. So when you're on your phone, it kind of collapses it, and then you can go through this menu to get to the other pages. And it's rearranged everything, so everything's single column. So everything that's there is still, you know, on my page. It's just, this is how it looks like on a phone. So. And then once you're done viewing the preview, you can click the X and it'll bring the editor back up. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? There's lots of stuff in chat that I don't know what's going on. Thank you, Rebecca. Okay. I mean, I went over the permissions, went over the items to insert, the page hierarchy. Kathy, is there anything else that we should touch on?
I would go to settings. So you can show them no, next one over the cog.
Gotcha. Yes.
So the navigation, you've been doing the default is top, but you can change it to side.
It's true. So let's see what that looks like. That's kind of like the preview that was on the phone, but this would show up on every type of interface if you wanted to have your navigation go through the menu. So you can also, I know there's a logo that will go with your site title that will show up on each page. There's also something called a favicon. When you have tabs in your browser and there's that little teeny tiny icon that's next to the title, that's a favicon, and you can upload a custom one if you want. To be honest, I haven't gone through a lot of these settings. So if you have any input, Kathy, I know you can.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I haven't a lot. I was just looking at them because they've changed since classics.
Right.
But the analytics is here, which is good for people to see.
Yeah. You do need to have a Google Analytics. If you wanted to view the analytics of this page, you do need to set up a Google Analytics account, and it kind of talks about how to do that in this article that they linked. So. An announcement banner. Ooh. So if you have a site-wide emergency, you can put the announcement up at the top. Let's see.
How about due to rain or warm due to heat?
I didn't know this was in here. Oh, hey, look at that. Huh. I guess each page I go to will have that on it. Yeah. Well, that's neat. I learned something new.
So what I think is important is when you're doing websites is that you take the time to get yourself organized first, what you want to have, and kind of sketch it out on a piece of paper so you have your buckets. So when you get in there, you have some idea of how you want it to look. And then take the time to see what it's going to look like on different devices, especially if you're doing this for using your website for teaching. A lot of students are using cell phones, so you wouldn't want to have a long page and then with like Dan had even a double column, because it's going to be single column and they're going to have to scroll. The more people scroll, the less likely they are to see all your content on that page. So I would think about that. And you can move things around pretty easy. You could make all your pages at one level and then change the navigation, make, the sub pages, just by moving things. So if you don't, just like in Blackboard, some people are really good at being organized and know how they want their content broken up in buckets. And some people just put everything on one page, and then they eventually see that they need to make some folders in some kind of organization. I just think it's best to be organized first, so you have an idea and play. You can make a website, many websites, and you don't have to make them public for the ones you just are testing out. And I think if you delete them now, they stay in a bucket for 30 days and then they're gone.
I don't know where you would
I think you do that on the main page.
on the main page.
Yep.
Yep.
So
okay.
where it shows all your sites.
So if you click on this menu down on the thumbnail of your site, you can remove it. So I'm going to do that with the one I just created. It says untitled site will be moved to drive, trash, and deleted forever after 30 days. If it's shared, collaborators can still make a copy until it's permanently gone. So yeah, that's a very good point. Having some organization, knowing what the goals of your site are. That's usually what we're always told. Whenever I go to Rick in communication and marketing and say, hey, can I get some help with, working on my site? He's like, well, what's the goal of your site? So you want to have an idea of what you want your site to do, and then work from there and make some organization. And as Kathy said, writing it out is a great idea. So. Okay. Anything else, Kathy?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, I know with Anne, I know that with your site, we can set up an appointment, when you have time, if you want to go through the files that were on it, and we can kind of plug things in. So
I appreciate that greatly. I do better one-to-one, because then I can see it and then I've got it. I've had so much
That's fine.
from Kathy in the past and from you too. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Just let us know. Also, just as a resource for all of you, I made this Google Sites page. It's oswego.edu/cts/Google-sites. So this kind of has these are just articles from Google about how to create a site, how to add content, how to add files, publishing. And also, if any of you have used Google Sites before, they're retiring the classic Google Sites. There's some information in here that kind of gives a timeline of Google transitioning those to the new interface. The one that we've been showing you is the new interface. So if you've never used Google Sites before, just ignore the classic stuff. Like, it doesn't pertain to you. So
I've got a question real quick, Dan, and I don't know how many people are going to laugh at me. Does Google charge, like if we want to make our site public, or like even for our students, or as a how-to thing, in my case, does Google charge you for the publication of the site?
Nope.
Or no? Okay. Do they have control over it at all? Or not that I put questionable stuff on, but you know what I mean.
I don't know. I think most of the items that we have approved through our SUNY contract
Okay.
was done in a fashion that they don't have control of it. I don't know if John or Kathy
Like,
are wrong, but I think we don't have some things activated on our site because of the way that Google words the contract. And I think a lot of the things that we have are only there because we made sure that they don't have the content. So
My concern is when I have students who are working on amazing projects to have their own little site for, say, colleagues and their peers can look at,
Yeah.
that they will add to their resume or something. So,
After, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you were going to do that, you could just leave it so it's just shared within the domain. So then it's
Okay.
not open to the world, you know, and then if they choose to let everybody see it, then they can, right? You can change the level of permissions on who can see it.
oh, excellent, because a lot of times the students will want to show their works before a show opens. And we don't want that because one, that belongs to published production. And there's all sorts of theatrical rules on that. But, oh, okay, Dan, I see. Okay. But yeah, I just want to check on those because this is an important thing with young designers too, that we have to teach them, that they just don't put, or if Kitty is designing something and they're building something for Kitty, they cannot put that up there for public view. So it's one of those things I want to teach them right off when I'll be doing this with my advanced classes is what I was thinking. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, plus, you also keep in mind that once a student graduates and become an alumni, they still have access to their Google account. So they would still be able to use and have access to their Google site. So,
Excellent. Okay.
okay. Any other questions? Great. If you encounter something, feel free to reach out to me and we can give you a hand with it. And thank you for coming today.
Thank you. Thank you for all your good work.
No problem. I don't know if you'll be able to teach this class, Steve, but I think I at least gave you a good overview.
Well, once he gets done building his new site, he can.
You'll be the expert, then we won't need to do this anymore, Kathy.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. I'll stop the recording.